This is my audience for my persuasive speech. One, two, three, four, five. Alright, today I'm going to be telling you why LeBron James is the greatest athlete in all sports today. LeBron James is the most dominant player in the NBA, but he's also the greatest athlete ever, and I'm going to be telling you why. Before we go into it, it is imperative to first establish what separates one player from the next in the association filled with the world's best athletes in the National Basketball Association. In this article, James is being specifically compared to a list of legendary athletes who possessed the rarest combinations of size, speed, and leaping ability, while also dominating multiple phases of the game. Meaning, besides just being able to dunk and be a great athlete, it's being a skilled great athlete. Rising up and dunking on the heads of their defenders. This is the list reserved for those athletes who also excelled in the ability to dribble, pass, and shoot. LeBron James is a 6'8" point guard. Like example compared to him, it would be Magic Johnson, who was a great athlete, but despite the long list of things that Johnson could do, he's never a great leaper. Shawn Kemp, on the other hand, was one of the NBA's greatest leapers ever in his prime. While Kemp excelled as a scorer and rebounder, however, he never averaged more than 2.6 assists in any season. Johnson, Kemp, and others of the like were omitted from the list of comparable athletes below for those reasons. To determine whether LeBron James is or isn't the best athlete the NBA has ever seen, the Wilt Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson, Julius Erving, and Michael Jordan must all be discussed. During the 1961-62 season with the Philadelphia Warriors, Wilt Chamberlain became the last player in NBA history to average 50 points. He was also the last to average as many as 40 points when he finished the following year at 44.8 points per game. But what's often lost from a career filled with highlights of Chamberlain dominating smaller, less physically gifted athletes than we have in the game today is that he could do much more than simply score. As a 7'1" center, Chamberlain averaged 8.6 assists during the 1967-68 campaign. He also dished out 4.5 assists, or more than 4 other times in his career. Besides that, though, he's also demonstrated a leaping ability that won him the Big 8 high jump competition when he cleared the bar at 6 feet 6 inches as a junior at the University of Kansas. Oscar Robertson became the last player in NBA history to average a triple-double. During the 1961-62 campaign, he posted 30.8 points, 12.5 rebounds, and 11.4 assists a game that year, and is the only person to average a triple-double in the NBA. Besides that, though, he also demonstrated, while he played in a different era, where dunking was sometimes associated with showing off, Robertson chose not to finish with the same authority that James does now in the spirit of sportsmanship. Because dunking back then wasn't a big thing, and it would be considered showing off your opponent. Whereas now, it's the opposite of that. As evidenced by his block above, however, Robertson's hand extends to the top of the box on the backboard every time he blocked an opponent. He certainly possessed the athleticism to do so if he wanted to. Julius Erving left behind a legacy of athletic artistry highlighted by layups like the one seen in the 1969 slam dunk contest for NBA fans to celebrate forever. Over a career that spanned 5 professional seasons with the ABA in combination with 11 more in the NBA, Erving finished with 24.2 points, 8.5 rebounds, and 4.2 assists total. Amid the high-flying brilliance, he also dished out at least 4 assists 9 times in his career. He collected 7 or more rebounds 9 separate times as well. Besides one of the greatest pure athletes the game has ever seen, Erving left a lasting legacy as the greatest player in NBA history. Michael Jordan needs no introduction in saying as much, though I do feel like we sometimes forget the type of passer that Jordan was. While certainly he wasn't Magic Johnson by any means, Jordan did use his extreme athleticism to average 8 assists during the 1988-89 season, while also grabbing 8 rebounds and scoring 32.5 points per game, which was his best season in the NBA. At 6'6", despite not quite having the size and strength of LeBron James, Jordan could beat his defender out of the post-up position just as easily as he could off the dribble. Jordan used his athletic ability to become one of the best defenders in the game. During his era as well, finished with an average of 6.2 rebounds for his career. LeBron recently became the youngest player ever to score 20,000 points. He's leading the league in player efficiency rating for the 6th straight season and is on the way to his 4th MVP. He is also the greatest athlete that I've ever watched into the league, though I wasn't old enough to remember Jordan until the mid-90s. But in saying as much, I'm not prepared to call James the greatest athlete the NBA has ever seen. The verdict from David Thompson to Shaquille O'Neal and Dominique Wilkins to Vince Carter, LeBron James is a better overall athlete than any other NBA great in the history of the National Basketball Association. I'll also concede that he is a bigger, stronger, faster version of Julius Erving, and he is more physically dominant than Jordan from a strength perspective. But James has not proven to be as versatile of an athlete as Oscar Robertson, nor to quite possess the size and athleticism of Wilt Chamberlain, as I could see from the highlights from their time in their era. Robertson was a walking triple-double who dominated more phases of the NBA game to a larger degree than James thus far in his career. While James is yet to average as many as 9 rebounds in one season, Robertson did so 5 times. He also dished out more than LeBron James' career high of 8.6 assists 9 times as well. The explosiveness, vision, and quickness that defined Oscar Robertson's game would translate to today's NBA in a similar fashion too, just as Chamberlain's freakish athleticism would. Chamberlain certainly never matched up with a player of the size of Shaquille O'Neal, for instance, but he could run faster, jump higher, and do more things on the basketball court than any other athlete we've ever seen in today's game. It's close at the moment, but right now, I'd answer the question by ranking James 3rd among all time, just ahead of Michael Jordan, and just ahead of Julius Erving, with Robertson and Chamberlain at the 2nd and 1st respectively. Until James averages a triple-double like Robertson and becomes a 7-foot-high jumper like Chamberlain, I don't expect that to change. Thank you. And that's the end of my speech.